Surprisingly enough, Will Howard was second in the nation with an 88 quarterback rating, which compared to Riley Leonard is really nice because Leonard was 15th in QBR with a 78 rating. So Howard has a bit of an advantage here. Leonard, I think, is definitely the better rusher of the two, but overall, I think Howard is the better player. So that is an advantage for Ohio State, and they get on the board right away, making it 1-0. And next we have Jeremiah Smith, who is just absolutely electric and is. I haven't been watching college football all that long, so I can't really make historic claims, but is definitely one of the better freshman receivers in history. He is 15th in yards per route run, and he will be going against Christian Gray, who is 377th in PFF coverage. So a bit of a difference between the two. In Gray's defense, he plays an outrageous 65% of his snaps in man coverage, which, to give you a point of reference, in the NFL, which is obviously a different league, but still, it is normal for corners to play about 26% of their snaps in man coverage. So this is well over double the average of what he'll be seeing in the NFL if he makes it to the NFL. I'm not sure what his prospects are at this moment. I would imagine he will. He's a rather good player, even though 377th in PFF coverage seems pretty rough. With that said, he has a good 72 grade in man coverage, so that's pretty solid. It's just there is quite a discrepancy between Smith and Gray's ranks in their key stats. So that's another point for Ohio State, taking it to 2 points to none. And now we have the other key wide receiver. I say the other, there's really three great receivers for Ohio State, but it's Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka, and then it's Carnell Tate. There's a little bit of a drop off. Egbuka is 49th in yards per route run, and he'll be going against Jordan Clark, who is a much better 58th in PFF coverage, much better than what Christian Gray was offering at 377. Clark is genuinely one of the best nickel corners in the nation. He, like Gray, plays an outrageous amount. I keep saying outrageous, but it is outrageous, so I guess that's fair. 61% of his coverage snaps in man coverage. He has a very good 76 grade in man coverage, so he's really going to provide a fight against Egbuka. And I consider this a no decision, as Egbuka being 49th is notably higher than Clark being 58th in their respective stats. But the man coverage grade is what really makes this difficult for me, as I think that Clark is really going to be able to scratch and claw and make things hard on Egbuka. So, though Egbuka is a fantastic player and will likely be a decently high first round pick in this year's draft, I think that Clark is going to make this close enough to where it's not advantageous for either side. And that's really impressive because Egbuka is just devastating to most slot corners. For the third receiver of Ohio State, we have Carnell Tate, who is 171st in yards per route run. He's going against Carson Hobbs, who is a big question mark. He played 40 pass snaps in the regular season, and he's been solid in the playoffs. I think, if we're being honest, Christian Gray has been attacked more than Hobbs, has been in the playoffs so far, which I don't want to say is everything because Hobbs is taking on the lesser of the matchups, and between Clark taking on the hard nickel assignments and then Gray taking on the number one outside, Hobbs is left with the easiest of matchups that you can have. I mean, it's still difficult. High level college cornerback play is nothing to scoff at, but I think that that could be a bit of why Hobbs has looked solid, and that is to say that he is liable to keep it up. So I think that this is going to be another no decision between Tate and Hobbs. So this is going to be a really interesting down the road for these two teams, as it looked like Ohio State was just going to run away with it, but then it kind of stopped, and Ohio State might go on a bit of a run again. So next we have Ohio State with their fourth ranked rushing expected points added offense versus Notre Dame's fifth ranked run defense expected points added. So it's very, very close between the two. And I'm not going to give a point for that. One difference is not nearly enough to incite anything of note. So next we have, shifting to the defensive side for Ohio State, we have Jack Sawyer, who is 12th in pressures, versus Emil Wagner, who is 161st in pass blocking for offensive tackles. So, again, quite a bit of a discrepancy there. That's going to incite a point for Ohio State, which will take them to 3 points to 0. Jack Sawyer, really, really technically sound, very strong as well. He is a beast in the run game also. So he has a lot going for him. And Wagner is a good run blocker, but not much of a pass protector, as you can see with him being ranked 161st in that regard. So Sawyer is definitely going to get the point here. And next, we have JTT, I'm going to call him. I cannot pronounce his last name because I'm bad with names. He is 44th in pressures, going against Anthony Knapp, who is a disgusting 514th in offensive tackle pass protection, according to PFF. That's just really rough. I don't think I need to explain much more. I'm just going to give the point to JT. And next, we shift over to Notre Dame's perspective for their opportunity to earn points. And to start off, they are not coming out the gates very strong, as Notre Dame lacks a wide receiver or a tight end in the top 200 of yards per route run. So that is preventing them from getting points in the first mode, which is not great. They are down 4 points to nothing. You would like to get some points in any way you can. And we'll shift now, though, to their rushing offense, which is ranked number one in the nation. So that's a great start. They are first, obviously, in rushing expected points added. And they're going against the number 3 ranked run defense expected points added in Ohio State. So that is, again, unfortunately for them, not going to be enough to get a true advantage. It is very close between the two in who's better. And I think I would lean a little bit in Notre Dame's direction for being able to get their will done. But I think Ohio State stands a really good chance to lock up their runs as well, especially because they're going to be able to sell out to stop the rushing game, as they do not have to watch out very much for passing threats. Next, for the defensive side of things for Notre Dame, we have Riley Mills, who was the only Notre Dame player in the top 200 for pressures, and sadly he's hurt. Notre Dame still has several good defensive tackles, though, and we're going to get into them with, first of all, Howard Cross. He has a good amount of pressures at 21, which is very good for a defensive tackle. He's going against a very poor center that's being trusted to be a guard right now in Carson Hinsman. Hinsman is 279 out of 285 in pass blocking for centers, but again, he's playing guard. So that's really rough for Ohio State. And they also have Joshua Padilla, who is their center, who is a question mark. He really hasn't played much this year. So, with that said, Notre Dame is on the board. They have a point, and they're going to get another one, as a bit of a spoiler, with Donovan Hinish. He has a solid 16 pressures from the interior. His matchup is Tegra T. I don't know how to say his last name either. And he is 513th in pass blocking for offensive guards. So that's not going to cut it, especially because Hinish is a very solid player. So, with that said, we now have a score of Ohio State 4 and Notre Dame 2. And the question now is, who am I leaning? Because that's all of the matchups that are worth noting. And I think it's pretty clear. I'm going to go with Ohio State here. They have a much more balanced approach to their team, as Notre Dame just has the interior defensive line on lock. Everything else is neutral or in favor of Ohio State. And because of that, I feel pretty safe in going with Ohio State here. So I think that this is a game that you don't want to overanalyze and see something that's not actually there. Ohio State is the better team, and I think they're going to win. Those are my thoughts on the game. Be sure to let me know what yours are in the comment section, and also be sure to like and subscribe for more football content.